Yeah. Lost daughter, prodigal son, way down by the shame of what you done. He still loves you. He'll leave the 99 for the one. He never gave up on me, so I'm not giving up on you. Yeah, he never gave up on me, so I'm not giving up on you. Yeah, he never gave up on you.
This is Chris Rivers, host of 70 times 7. This is episode 3 from season 2, and we're here with Ashley Thrash. Ashley, how you doing?
Hey, Chris, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yep, no problem. Me and Ashley met through South Coast Recovery. How long you been going now?
Almost a year and a half, just a little over a year.
Okay.
I think October was probably my year mark.
It doesn't feel like a year.
Oh, it does to me. Y'all gotten me through almost a good solid year and a half.
Well, what do you think of season 2 so far?
I think it's going great.
A little bit different than last season?
A little bit, yeah. I can see some changes, but I listen to all of them and they're good and helpful in different areas and ways. So I'm enjoying it.
Song from yours?
Absolutely. I can't wait to hear my song.
What style?
Oh, I don't know. Surprise me. I've listened to it all.
I definitely will. All right. Well, you know how it goes. Just dive in as far into your childhood as you want to go, and who you were before the turnaround when you met Jesus, and then what that meant to you, and then we'll see where the Holy Spirit leads it.
All right. My name is Ashley. I was born and raised here in Mobile. I grew up in 8 Mile. I grew up Catholic. My family was Catholic. So I started in Catholic school, and that was really the only church I went to as far as like every Friday morning we would go to mass together as a class. But on Sundays, my family would go sometimes, but mainly just Easter, Christmas, were the statistic for my childhood. But
just the check boxes not to go to hell.
Right. Yeah. That's what we were trying to get through. My dad was an alcoholic. Really, a lot of my family members were alcoholics. It runs deep in the blood.
At what age do you kind of remember effects from that? Like, obviously it's still on your mind, him being one, but like what age do you remember that like affecting you?
I can remember it pretty young, only from the standpoint of if he wasn't home sometimes, and this could be, 6 years old, that we're riding down the road to Mary's, the bar on Lot Road, to look for his vehicle to make sure he's still there. Because he would get into car wrecks or arrested a few times, but we were very country, hunting, fishing, mud riding. So sometimes he would be stuck in the mud and we would have to go pick him up from stuff like that. Or I've been on the trip to pick him up from bailing him out.
How old were you?
I would say fairly young, probably like 7 or 8. Like I didn't have on shoes. My brother carried me on his back, so I wouldn't be in Metro with no shoes on, because now that I'm older, that really disgusts me. But
How'd your mom?
she was pretty emotional, I would say, but she held it together a lot for me and my brother. And then I can remember one time, I don't know how old I was, but my dad came to pick us up from my grandparents, because we spent a ton of time with my grandparents because they were retired early. And I guess he had been drinking and they were not wanting to let us go with him. And like my uncle and my dad actually like physically fought in the driveway. I guess because my dad was like, those are my kids. I'm going to do what I want to do. And my uncle wasn't having it. So I really can't remember how old I was at that point, but I know I was probably 10 or younger. Um, he was never really like violent with us or anything like that. But I mean, if you called him on things, I can definitely recall, times where he would get angry or, whatever. I'm sure there was a lot going on that we didn't know of at that time. But when I was young, I didn't think I had some terrible childhood. I mean, I was just living it.
What?
Yeah, I was about to say I was just living in the country and doing whatever. And
Doesn't mean it was healthy.
right,
Amazing.
right. Now that I'm older, I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, that wasn't the greatest,
Yeah.
but.
There's things I think all of us, a lot of us, I won't say all of us here, that when we get older, to where we have that eureka moment of like, oh no, like that was not good.
Oh, for sure. Now when I look back, I'm kind of like, I'm a miracle, like that I didn't
Absolutely.
get in trouble for some things that I've done. But
Yeah.
when I was 12, my mom had kind of had enough, and I guess I'm sure they had had plenty of conversations about that. But we moved out, me, my brother, and my mom, and we moved to Tillman's Corner, which was like a street over from my grandparents, so they could kind of help see us to get to and from school, kind of deal, while my mom was still working. And at that time, my dad was extremely angry that we were gone, but he did stop drinking when I was 12. At the same time all this was going on, I started smoking cigarettes because I was like, if everything's falling apart, I'm going to do what I want to do. And, at 12, you think you know all the things and you really don't. But, so we lived there for probably like a year and a half while my dad quit drinking. And now I say he quit drinking. He switched to Bush NAs. I'm assuming because he was just addicted to the taste, the habit, all the things that, now that I'm older, it's probably more of a routine of more than just getting drunk. But he did quit drinking for years. We
I
moved.
tried that. It didn't work for me.
Well,
But
beer's already nasty, so if I'm not getting the buzz, we're not drinking that
yeah,
stuff.
just
Like,
go.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's not worth it for sure.
A margarita.
For sure. Yeah, I was never a beer girl. I wanted to be like in college days because it was so much cheaper,
Yeah.
but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It was always the $10 drink person, and that's a problem, especially when you're broke.
We had $15 drinks.
Right.
But so he stuck with that.
He did for several years. I can't really recall how long it was, but then it kind of came back as far as like it might just been when we were going out for something, he would have a beer or something like that. But I kind of seen that coming, and he did start drinking again, and
So cracked the door open and then just went.
for sure. But he had changed a lot as far as like he didn't drive around like he did when I was little. He didn't go to bars. Like he worked, and he worked hard, and he made a good living. And then every day when he got off work, he was going to drink 12 or 18 from
Yeah.
that time to bedtime and then wake up and go to work. So he did, I guess it was functioning alcoholism, if we want to call it that.
Right. He felt like he had earned it. And that was something the Holy Spirit pointed out to me when I was ready for it. I wasn't ready for it to hear it for a long time.
For sure.
It's the reason it's always on God's timing is the best. That I would like literally my reward was sin. It didn't matter what it was, but I felt like if I had been a good enough boy for long enough that now I can finally have my sin.
Oh, for sure. I've done that. I guess I just have such an addictive personality that I do that with anything. And it can be even like after this 21 days of prayer and fasting, I might be like, oh, we've earned this sweets that I gave, or, whatever it is.
I
But
had 124 hours on my off, and I ate a 16-foot
that,
sub from like Jimmy John's. My wife goes, like, that's the size of your torso. And I'm like, it's my off day.
right.
I've earned it.
That's why the intermittent, I'm like, dude, if you only give me a couple hours, then I'm going to go hard in those couple hours.
So it's all the same concept. And that was kind of hard for me to hear because you think, oh, I quit the alcohol. Now I'm done. Now I can just do whatever. Now I quit the cigarettes. Now I'm done. Now I can just, and the sanctification just keeps going and going and going. And, but it's worth it. I'm not saying that to discourage anybody, but I'm saying the problem is not necessarily the exact thing you're doing. It's the fact that you're wanting to disobey God in the first place. And that's your addiction. You're wanting what the Bible says you can't have.
Absolutely. And I mean, what I've learned even from going to the group over the time is you're doing it for a reason. So if you can back up and kind of like you're already thinking about getting high before you ever go do whatever you're going to do, if you can back up and capture that, then you're really getting to the root of it. And like Levi said multiple times, like when you do stop doing something, put something good in its place. Cause I've stopped things and then I've been like, well, then I'll pick this up. And it's not the right things, but you've got to absolutely put something better in the place.
This podcast replaced gossip probably for me or something. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, well, because I love sitting around talking to people. That's the reason this is such a blessing right now. But at the same time, sometimes those conversations go awry, and this is something where it's like it holds me accountable.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
so I definitely know what you're saying. That was huge for me, not feeling the time that I was doing all the wrong things with all the right things.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, we moved back in with my dad and, went to high school, did all the things.
kind of, if I can ask real quick about Tony, what kind of person was your dad though, outside of the alcohol, like when he wasn't drinking?
Oh man, he was hardworking. He would do anything for anyone. Hunting, fishing, NASCAR.
Like NASCAR?
Oh yeah,
What?
dumbest thing ever. Can't stand to watch those people go around in a circle over and over for hours.
But they go fast.
They do. So my brother was probably, I think we looked the other day. He must have been like 20. It was for one of my dad's birthdays. We bought him the NASCAR experience. And we drove to Atlanta and he got to get in a car and drive. Well, he wanted my brother to do it with him. And because that's just how the men in our family are, they're just wide open from, probably 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah.
He was down to do it. So we have like a DVD of them racing in NASCARs. Yeah. Doing like 160 miles. Right?
Yeah,
I do not. I say, I do not.
I really do.
I was nervous the day I was there and they were doing it. I was like, well, this is it. My dad and my brother are going to die at the same time.
They love it.
Oh, yeah. It was great.
That's awesome.
But he could take apart a car, put it back together. Like,
What was your relationship with your mom like to all this?
it was really good. I was probably always closer to my mom. I'm the only girl, so I say I'm a daddy's girl. Obviously, I am because I'm it. But like, I knew anytime I needed anything, if I was in trouble, if I didn't know how to do something, I knew I could call my dad. But I would probably say I was close with my mom on the aspect of like telling her everything or wanting to not necessarily shop because I hate shopping, but go eat with her, stuff like that as far as the quality time more probably with her. But like I say, I would say I had a pretty decent relationship with both of my parents. My grandparents were amazing. My grandfather was a retired fire chief from the Mobile fire. So, like I say, they both had tons of time with me and my brother. We would go to the mountains over the summer. They had a swimming pool. Like,
Tennessee?
yeah, the Smokies. Like, that was their place. So it seemed like.
Mountain stuff's around here.
Oh, yeah. I say the mountains. I'm like, that's it, Chris. Where else are we talking about?
Hey, I do the same thing.
I mean,
Okay.
People do ask me, but I'm just like, the mountains. Like, that's it.
Like that's the only one. I remember we had not too long ago, it was probably 2 years ago, to Zion, and that was like being on another planet to me, because I mean, growing up, and I had a good childhood too, I'd say, like, of course, the enemy attacks you. He attacks them too. But they did the best they could.
Yeah.
And so, but our vacations were at beach and Disney, and that was vacation to me. Yeah. So it was like outside of that, got old enough to go to a place like Zion National Park. I'm like, this is like another planet.
Yeah. This is like a painting.
Yeah. There's more mountain.
Yeah. It's not just on TV. Yeah. If it wasn't for the trips with my grandparents, I probably wouldn't have taken many. But we did do a lot of like camping, fishing. Like when you had to drive to the West End, like you had to get your 4x4 and drive through the sand to get down there. Might have been Sand Island instead of the West End. I'm not sure. But we would drive down there and we would camp for like the whole weekend.
So
Oh yeah. And I mean, we'd have us a little fire going, a tent, and we'd walk.
I'm actively trying to get my kids into stuff like that right now to kind of unplug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. I mean, I guess it's great because I just grew up that way, but we would get up late at night and go gigging, like, you're just walking around looking for flounder in the middle of the night instead of sleeping in that tent. I mean, it was good. Like I say, I had a good childhood. Now that I'm older, I know that there are a lot of things that probably weren't great, but like you said, I think people do the best
Yeah.
they can with what they know, and,
And in case Dad listens to this, I did get taken around to like all 50 states in a big rig, but I was
oh,
too
yeah.
young to remember. I don't remember any of it. So I remember parts with him or parts of like my family, but I don't
Right.
remember the scenery.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you don't remember all them stops. My uncle was a trucker, and I remember when I was young, my brother went somewhere with him, and I was just like, "This isn't fair." And I think it was really more about like getting to stay in the little cool bed of the cab. I didn't care about actually going anywhere because I was actually pretty young, but
Yeah.
I was sad at the time.
Hmm.
But I got to go to Alaska probably 2 years ago because my friend's husband is in the Coast Guard and they were stationed there. And that's kind of like you were talking about. Like once we got there, I was like, man, this is like a totally different world. Like it was
Yeah.
gorgeous, but almost like not real. Like when you're there, it's amazing. I've never lived anywhere else. Haven't traveled a bunch. That's why I say the mountains. So when I got to Alaska, I was like, wow, this is
Amazing. Yeah. But hey, it makes it cool now. Get that wow experience now.
for sure, for sure. I got to
So,
put the Grand Canyon on the list.
but so he sobered up a little bit. You and your mom had a good relationship, and I think you were about to go into now you're going to school, high school, and you went to MGM.
I did.
Already know that because you went to school with my buddy John.
That's right. Go Vikings.
Yeah.
Spell it backwards.
So how was that for you?
It was good. High school was good. I mean, I was definitely doing things I probably shouldn't have been doing, but probably not the worst, you know. I I went to school, graduated. As soon as I turned 18, I moved out and moved in with my best friend and like I say, I'm sure we were partying probably a little bit harder than 17 and 18-year-olds should, but we went to work and did what we were supposed to do. And
What was your party place of choice? Someone's house or?
usually the house, because technically we were still underage at that point, but so you stayed at home. But we did like to go downtown some at, the places that we were able to go and listen to music. But I mean, we were never,
Close.
yeah,
Yeah.
old Club 7.
Notorious.
But high school went pretty good. Like I say, I just automatically jumped into working.
I literally think Club 7's owned by Satan. Like,
I'm sure.
I mean, just like if you actually like did your digging, and opened that office that said owner, like you're just like, oh crap.
Yeah. Now that I'm older, I'm just like,
All the kids that corrupted.
yeah, all I can think is, ugh.
Yeah. He'd be Club 6 though, not Club 7.
That's true. This is brother.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with we're gonna go with
Club
it.
6, 7 now.
Up,
Yeah.
up, don't do it. My kid will lose their mind. I have learned that anytime they start saying something, all I gotta do is start saying it and they will stop.
Okay. Makes it not cool anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what happens. She goes, Mom, and I'm like, now we're done with that one.
So you're partying out of high school, and what's some crazy stories that happened from that? I'm sure you got some.
Ooh.
Not this for the sake of glorifying, but for the sake of this is how bad it can go.
For sure. So this was not my choice, but there again, just for anybody that it can help. I remember one time hanging out with this girl and she was giving me something. It was almost like I don't know what the word is, the breath freshener kind of stuff. It wasn't the mints, but it was almost like a liquid that used to be back in the day.
Okay.
And
What a Listerine type of it.
something like that, but it was almost like the drops, like some kind of drops. And then not long after she gave me some, she was like, "Oh, that was acid." And I was like,
Like, man, messed up.
well, I don't like to not be in control. And there again, that's an issue because let's just be real, you're never really in control.
Right.
But to know that somebody else made that choice for me, that kind of terrified me in that moment.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing really happened as far as to me,
Yeah,
except for,
psychedelic.
I was about to say, except for like, I felt trauma almost from the fact that somebody made that choice for me and I didn't know what to expect. But
But she wasn't lying, like it was acid, or was she just messing with you?
No, it was. She was not lying.
So you didn't feel nothing?
I mean, I did, but I guess I didn't do a bunch, and I'm such an anxious person that as soon as she told me, I kinda started panicking as it was, but it wasn't terrible. I didn't end up in the hospital or anything. I ended up not talking to her anymore is what I did end up doing.
Yeah. She'll slip you that. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but we also since I was in the country, like, we had a huge clay pit behind my house, just orange clay mountains, and we would go out there and have a bonfire and drink and do whatever and hang out, and, one time while I was drinking and making great choices in my teenage years, I decided to get on this guy's four-wheeler, zero business being on it.
While intoxicated?
Right, yes, because that's the best time to drive
Yeah.
one.
This wasn't gonna be the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm kinda going around in a circle in this clay pit at night, and, the four-wheeler flips,
Oof.
and we go flying through the woods, like, trees, and, I get up, like, everybody's run over there, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Ashley," and I get up, and I have, like, some cuts on my face, but that's it, which extremely lucky.
Yeah.
I was about to say, now that I hear the terrifying ATV stories all the time, there again, I'm just like, I'm a miracle.
Yep.
Like, I know God had his hand on me so many times
You're
throughout my
fine,
life,
yeah.
but just crazy things like that, I would say. I don't even know that one sticks out. It's just
Did you ever have a DUI scare?
no, no. Luckily, I think my childhood with my dad probably deterred me from that. Like, I never really drove. We were responsible as you can be in making those choices,
Yeah.
but, like, if somebody's driving, they're not drinking. But like I say, at the most part, we weren't really out driving because we were so young.
I wasn't good about that. I was me, Nick, and we've been walking in the mornings, and I was talking to Nick, and it was like, man, I can vividly remember probably about 6 times I got pulled over, hammered, and just, didn't end up with a DUI. And it was stuff like that to where I was like, how come other people, this happens to them, but I just seemed to get away with it. All of a sudden, I just took on this like bulletproof mentality when
Yeah,
actually now looking at it, it's heartbreaking because I realized that it was because God's plan for me was outweighing my stupidity.
for sure.
And that's sad.
Oh, yeah. There was definitely times that I was pulled over, and maybe not in my teens, but in my life that there might have been something in the car with me that
Yeah.
I could have easily gotten me a ride downtown for
Yeah.
free and actually not for free, for very expensive. But no, I just got I
I know
guess you
people
say
that's had prescription pills in their car without a prescription that got put away for 10 years.
well, that's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
like even now, so when we were sick last week, we were watching all these jail, just binging Netflix and stuff. And I was watching this jail show, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that could be me.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
deserved that
Yep.
10 years ago, but
Yeah.
like I just think that like you say, God had a different plan, and I'm just extremely lucky because a lot of times when I do see people, even people that get in accidents and stuff, and I'm just like, that could have been me,
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was pretty good as far as like not driving like that.
Okay.
When my dad passed away, and we were going through his stuff, I can't tell you. I'd probably have to count them, but I can't tell you how many like little slips that he had from like his driver's license being suspended due to DUIs,
Yeah.
or like how many like little citations. Like we laughed about it, but only just because we had to laugh about it at that moment because he was gone. But I was just like, you got a whole file on this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I know where people come from. What else can you do but laugh? And I used to laugh at my stupid. In fact, that's all we did for was go around. Me and my friends, we would reunite, and we finally got to have a little buzz and a little bit of freedom. So we'd start talking about how stupid we were, and we'd laugh our butts off. One of the things that like deterred me from that, my sense of humor has changed from what it used to be. I saw a video the other day that if y'all saw it in class, you wouldn't believe. Like just me with a cigarette hanging out of my mouth, with a beer in my hand, dropping F bomb after F bomb after F bomb.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, like that was me. But but anyway, what deterred me from it is I realized that the demons were laughing too.
Oh yeah, they're all having a
You
good time
know,
together.
and that literally came to my mind whenever I realized that I was being stupid. Not only was I being laughed with, but I was being laughed at.
Yeah,
And I didn't feel that at the time. It feels good to stand around and do stuff to make people laugh until you kind of have that paradigm shift and realize, oh, I'm the butt of the joke.
for sure.
Oh, and I don't know when that happens for everybody. I don't even know why I feel the need to say that. I guess for the fact that I believe that laughing masks a lot of serious stuff, and it's good as a coping mechanism because it's better than just crying and panicking. But at the same time, I don't think that that should be your first response to all things like that. And I know people that that's their response to anything messed up, and now the devil's taking that, and now you're laughing at some really, 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 really messed up things.
Absolutely.
You
That
know,
would probably been my go-to for a lot of things, is whether I'm laughing or just trying to crack a joke about it or just to try to
Yeah.
lighten whatever it
And that's
is.
at me too. That's the reason I said it was pointed out to me. I had a pretty demonic sense of humor. Like I was laughing at some stuff that I think about now, and I'm like, oh no, like so. Yeah, believe me, that's at me more than it is anybody. I enjoy getting a laugh.
Yeah, I'm
God wanted my sense of humor, and after what I did, I was like, you can have it.
for sure. Even when I hear different comedians now, I used to be able to just sit and laugh, and like you say, ones that are just cussing all that, I'm just like, I can't even
Not like
listen
that.
to it.
Subjects that just aren't funny, like abortion,
Well, yeah,
or cancer or stuff like that. And I admired them for not taking it seriously. I mean, that's how different the paradigm shift was for me. As I was sitting there, look at them not caring what people think. Little did I know, it's like, and they're like, well, it's better these people laugh, and these kids would laugh too. And it's just like, I get it, to a certain degree, but it wasn't healthy for me. Let me put it that way. It wasn't healthy for me to think that was funny.
for sure. And like I say, I think, I don't know, it's just made to be so okay. And it's almost like if we're laughing about it, like you say, then we're not crying or angry. So that's kind of how I used to view it. Like, oh, if they're making jokes about cancer or whatever, it's just to try to lighten the mood. But at the same time, what is it really doing?
Well, it might be, in a sense, kicking the can of having to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably a lot. And I would say that was probably a lot of mine too.
Yeah.
Like I was making jokes or laughing to avoid,
Yeah.
other feelings or
Yeah.
whatever was really going on.
But
So
that pile up on you.
absolutely, it's
Yeah.
always there
Yeah.
when you're done
Yeah,
with your
yeah.
jokes.
That was why I drank for so long. I don't know why you drank for so long, but it was I didn't really want to know what I had to do. I didn't really want to be serious. I wanted to have fun.
For sure.
Yeah, so I knew that there was probably something more than what I was understanding life to be, but I didn't want to know. I'd rather just do this.
Yeah, but I say I just didn't care to know. I mean, I didn't even really think about it. Probably, I was like you say, I was having fun, and I knew once you're not doing drugs or alcohol, then whatever problems you were running from are still there.
That's right. Yeah.
Plus, you got a couple more maybe,
Yeah.
depending upon what you did when you're doing drugs and alcohol. You have
You've opened a lot of doors to a lot of demons.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So it just piles up on you. But I ended up going to college for a little bit. Bishop, and went for EMT because I thought I was going to work for South Flight. That was like the ultimate when I was in my 20s. I was like,
That'd be cool.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, this is it. Like, we're going to save the most critical people.
You think you've been cut out for that?
Now, no.
I don't think I would.
So
I don't
then,
like seeing people.
and my mom used to be like, Ashley, I just don't think that's going to be good for you. And I was like, well, they were going to die before I got there. So if I get there and can save them, like, that's just what I have to, like, really focus on. Like, they're going to die without you.
That's right.
But so I went to school and I finished the EMT program and did a few ride-alongs in a ER. You had to do a couple 12-hour shifts in the ER, and that kind of opened my eyes a lot as far as because you had to do EMT, paramedics, and nursing, I think, at the time to even work for South Flight. So I was gonna have to do all the things. And
It's a lot of school.
oh yeah, yeah. And this was not a school loving girl right here.
No, I didn't like it either.
I didn't. I'm not a good test taker. I
went to college for one semester. I don't even know that if you can say that.
I don't know how long that EMT program lasts, but that was it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I finished it. I got the super expensive piece of paper, and but once I did the ride-alongs and stuff, I saw some things. There was a baby with a skull fracture, and that
Nope.
I didn't even have kids at the time, wasn't married, but that kind of broke me down, like holding that baby's head the whole way to the hospital. And then I never knew what happened.
Oh,
So I think
gosh.
that was like the one I really sat back and looked and was like, would this be something I would do? Because you never know the ending to that story. And that's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. I bet that spawned some drinking moments.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it's
That's a lot to process, and just even hearing you say it, I can't imagine actually being there. That's why I asked, could you handle it? Because that's not for me.
right. And like I say, it's definitely not for everybody. And now that I've been through some of the things I've been through, I know that God makes people exactly for what they do.
Yes,
There's very
absolutely.
special people in very special places that are there for that exact job. And
I
He
believe
has
that.
created them to do that.
Yep.
So I definitely thought that I could. But then I realized that that probably wasn't going to be the thing for me. But I just kept on working, which I was working full time while I was going through school.
What were you doing all of a sudden?
Um, so I worked for a office equipment and furniture place and just did customer service, accounting, operations. I'm forklift certified.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all aren't ready for me.
No, no.
But so I just kept on working
Slide
and
your application after the interview.
there we go.
Yeah.
I got a forklift coming your way. Um So I just got caught up in working. I was making money and I could afford to live with my roommate and we could afford, whatever habits we wanted to do and hang out on the weekends. And then I met my now husband at said job and we started hanging out. I mean, we were obviously working, but then we would hang out after work, have a drink or whatever, and just realized we were good friends. And so we started dating, I don't know, I guess that was the end of, I don't know, 2005 maybe? No, I graduated in 2006. Cut that out. I'll be like,
I got you. Yeah, I got you. There you go. Yeah.
um, so we started hanging out and my husband is a African American male, so our hanging out was a secret for a little while just until I knew really everybody for the first little bit and then mainly my family just cuz I didn't know how that was going to go. It had never been talked about. My family wasn't racist, but it wasn't super common at the time. So we just waited a little while and when I told them, they were kind of like, "Oh, we already knew." So they could kind of tell, but my parents took it fine. Friends, everybody except for my great grandmother at the time, she did not take it well. And then,
That makes sense.
yeah, I mean, she was 90 something years old at the time. So she was definitely from a different time, but she never spoke to me again
You
after
don't
that.
see nothing in the Bible about.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I say, she grew up in a different time to where that was not accepted.
Mhm.
And, I guess maybe just at her age, it was just a shock or whatever. But,
Totally different perspective from her than.
for sure. And like I say, I knew that going in. So when I was trying to be, prepared and respectful of different people's viewpoints. But
It's good that that was all there was. For the most part, it sounds like everybody was cool with him.
yeah, I
I
mean,
like him. I've met him. You hadn't even told his name, so you didn't even give him a shout out.
his name is Carlos. Oh, CJ. Um,
He's
he
funny.
he is. He's a very good man. So if that was the only backlash I had, I mean, I hated that she never spoke to me again, but I'm gonna kind of say at this point that it was worth it. Like, I wouldn't change it now. So
That's good.
I'm gonna keep him.
Yeah.
But we were hanging out, dating, doing things that we should not have been doing prior to being married, which is what I'm constantly telling my daughter now. And I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter, Carly. And she was probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so when he proposed. So we were actively heading that way. We were just a little bit backwards in all the things we were doing. It was Valentine's, so, the most proposal day ever, and we were getting ready for work. I was feeding Carly, and, he gave me a gift bag that had a ring in it. He didn't even get down on one knee, Chris, and I still give him heck for that.
I mean, he's too cool for that. You can't do it. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He'll agree with you there. He's gonna agree with you for that. But when I was pregnant with Carly, I was sick a lot, as in morning sickness, what I thought was the norm. And it seemed to be. When she was born, she had like some stomach issues, which was really difficult as far as a baby can't tell you that they don't feel good or what's wrong. And as a first time mom, you almost kind of feel like maybe you're being paranoid, or maybe you're not doing enough or saying enough, or whatever the thing is. You're always going to go like, am I doing enough?
Oh, we couldn't tell if it was gas, but it was a lot of, and you could see her straining her tummy, and
Yeah.
I know the panic.
So we went to the doctor several times, and they kind of like made me feel like, oh, she's fine, whatever. Well, then one time at the doctor, they ended up giving her like a suppository to force her to go to the bathroom then. And then the doctor was just blown away when it happened. She was like, is this what it's like? I was like, that's what I've been telling you, lady. Like, it's not good. Something's not normal. But so we had years of kind of like unanswered things as far as what was going on with her. Come to find out after being tested for multiple things that her colon is enlarged. Like, it's not life threatening or anything like that, but like I say, it was just really hard as a baby and as the mom of a baby to navigate those kind of things, like when they can't really talk to you and tell you what's going on. But we finally got her situated. And then I guess it was probably right around December of 2016, I got pregnant for the second time. And since it was December, I was going to be super cool and make this Christmas surprise. And I got like a bracelet jewelry box and put the pregnancy test in there and wrapped it up.
It's creative.
Yeah, I was like, we're gonna surprise him and go all hard, because the first one was definitely a shock. So this one will be a little bit more like intentional and special. So I wrapped it all up as a Christmas present and put it under the tree. And me and Carly are at the Dollar General getting some drinks for Christmas Eve get together with Carlos's family. And I feel something that I know is not right. And, she's 4 at the time. So I just told her, I was like, let's go. And we're literally in line to check out. And I just put all my stuff down and left. And I got home and I was bleeding really bad. So I knew something was wrong. And I called the doctor and they were like, you need to get to the hospital. At this time, Carlos still didn't know that I was pregnant, because it's still wrapped under the Christmas tree for tomorrow, because it's only Christmas Eve. So I tell him, I get the gift and I'm like, I need you to open this. And he opened it and got all excited. And then I was like, but something's wrong and we need to go to the hospital. So I felt terrible, like after that, as far as how I went about it. But, in the moment, I didn't know what was going on, but I couldn't just be like, hey, I got to go to the hospital. By the way, I'm pregnant, and we're not pregnant. And yeah, it was a lot. And like I say, trying to tell your 4-year-old, when you're heading to the ER, like, what's wrong? And I'm just like, my stomach hurts, and I just left it at that. So Christmas Eve of 2016, we had a miscarriage, and not really sure how far along I was. Like I said, we didn't really dive in a lot to that. Once I got there, a lot, had already happened. I think I got out that night. It may have been Christmas, but like I said, I didn't have to stay real long. Very heartbreaking, traumatizing. I didn't know what it was like, obviously, before, but I'd heard of so many women going through it. But it's truly heartbreaking and a hard loss for something that you never got to fully see or experience. But like I say, as soon as you find out you're pregnant, you're just like, this is my baby, like. So losing during a pregnancy was super, super hard and heartbreaking. Luckily, that same year for Christmas, Carlos and Carly both got karaoke machines. So when we got home, they just had a full-on concert. And if you look on my Facebook page, there's a awesome video of them just going to town. And I mean, I feel like that's what got us through, stuff like that. Because at that time, we weren't going to church on a regular basis.
Still
Really,
Catholic is all you did?
yeah, I mean, technically, but like I said, other than going to church with my grandparents every once in a while, I didn't really go to a Catholic church. I didn't really go to church at all. Um, I thought I was a Christian. I mean, I knew I believed, but I didn't feel like, I guess, that I was doing anything bad enough that, I wouldn't go to heaven, but I wasn't, doing all the things I needed to make sure I was getting there either. Right. Yeah. However I could make myself feel better. But so now looking back, had I had a church family and a support group at that time, I'm sure it would have been a lot different going through that.
But there's no way to know that until you have it.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Like I say, I just look back on so many things now and I'm like, oh man, if I was who I am now then, it would have been so different, but not necessarily. Like I said, that
Did you question faith at that point after going through that?
not really so much then. The following September of 2017, I got pregnant again. And I was extremely sick all 3 pregnancies. Pregnancies was just not my friend. It's not the great thing that some women have. But I was extremely sick. Then, so my birthday's in April. Yeah. So I was 30 weeks pregnant in April when I turned 30 years old. And I'd been sick, lots of swelling, just horrible, horrible. I was still going to work, but not functioning real well. Well, when I was, I think, like right at 30 weeks, 29 weeks, I went to the doctor and they had known that, I was sick a lot. And they did like a 30-minute ultrasound, just trying to make sure like the blood flow and stuff between me and the baby were good. And they ended up keeping me in the hospital that day and doing like different tests overnight. She was like, we're just going to keep you overnight to see like what's going on since you are having so much trouble. Well, the next day she came in my room and she was like, we're going to send you over to USA Children's and Women's, maybe to high risk, and you have severe preeclampsia. So,
What's that?
well, I would say like diabetes during your pregnancy. I don't know what all it entails as far as I was retaining a lot of water, like my legs and feet were swelling, but my blood pressure was going up extremely high. Once I got to USA, they said I would probably needed to be there a little bit before, obviously. But at a certain point, you would start having seizures. And I was like, oh, well, that's not scary at all. Like,
That's terrifying.
yeah, I was like, I've never had a seizure. This is scary. But they were like, you'll be here until you deliver the baby. Like, we're going to try to wait it out as long as we can, but you're not going home.
And this is at 30 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I really can't even tell you how many days I was in the high risk of labor and delivery at USA. But like I say, they were just trying to keep things down as much as they could to try to keep her in as long as they could. They were able to give like steroid shots to strengthen her lungs since they knew she was going to be early. And they were saying, she's a good weight. Like, she was not an issue really at that time. They were like, we're not worried about her so much. We're worried about you. Once we get in these 2 shots for her lungs, she's good, because they see the tiniest of micro preemies there at 30 weeks. They're feeling good about that. I mean, it's not great, but it's not the worst. When they're delivering at 22 and 24 weeks, I'm better. So the issue was me. And then I started kind of getting like almost like, so you get a really bad headache. And they started giving me magnesium, which sets you on fire. Like, I literally thought I was burning alive.
How'd they give it to you?
Through an IV.
Okay.
But literally just
Felt
cold.
like fire going through you?
Oh yeah. You just feel burning hot. But then I kind of could start seeing like a line like just in my vision. And they were like, okay, well, it's time. Like, we're going. And I guess like that was getting close to seizure time, I guess. I didn't really ask them like if that's what that was, but he was like, all right, well, we're going. And that was that.
You start seeing a line in your vision.
Yeah, like you could almost like my eyes are open, but it would be like a line. Like if I'm looking at you right now, there would be a line right across your face or across the wall. Like I kept moving around to see if I could see it everywhere.
Like what kind of line? Like just a black line or?
I mean, it was almost like when you have a glare off of something, like that bright look, like if the
Okay.
sun's glaring off of a window, it was just like a bright line because I was starting to get scared. I mean, I was already scared. Don't kid myself, but when I started, like my vision was messing up. I was like,
So it had a light to it, like a light line.
yes. And because they had talked about the seizures so much, like say I was already anxious about
I
that because
bet. Yeah.
I'm an anxious person. So I'm just sitting there like, is this it?
Yeah.
So we go to the operating room, um, get me prepped and everything, and I have to have a C-section, obviously. And I remember them like getting her out because you can feel the pressure release almost. But I didn't hear her cry. And it seemed like a long time. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was seconds, but like in that moment, I'm like, so I remember saying out loud, like, why isn't she crying? And they kind of took her off to the side. And then I heard her. I heard her crying. I was like, okay. Well, automatically, I guess from what I'm understanding about the severe preeclampsia, like as soon as you're done and have the baby, you almost kind of like return to health pretty quickly. Well, my blood pressure dropped immediately and I passed out. So I just kind of checked out for a minute. They made Carlos like leave, pushing to the side or whatever. And I remember like when I kind of, I guess, woke back up, came to whatever, I was like, did I have a seizure? Like, was that because that was all I was thinking the whole time because that was all they kept saying. And they were like, no, your blood pressure dropped, you passed out, you're fine. Well, at this time, I'm just like, okay, we made it. Like everything's good. And I don't really remember anything else from the operating room. And then I kind of woke up in recovery, and there's a doctor there asking me to sign some paperwork for so my daughter was born, her name was Alyssa. She was on a ventilator at 100% oxygen. Me being older, all I could think of, I wasn't thinking of like babies being on a ventilator at 100% oxygen. I'm thinking of like older people, and I'm like, that's it. Like she's gonna die. You don't make it off of a vent, at 100%. But it's different, when they're young like that. So I automatically was freaking out. They did wheel me like in my bed into the NICU to see her for a minute on the way to my room. And I can remember, vividly, like not knowing what was going on because they didn't really know what was going on with her, but she was extremely like swollen, very dark looking, but she just had tubes everywhere. So it was very scary. I was heavily medicated, so it was hard to be awake. It's like I would wake up and go back to sleep, wake up and go back to sleep. And because I just couldn't fight all of it. And then once I got in a room, I don't remember anything else from that day. But the next day, like a lot of people started coming in, and still nobody really knew. I mean, I want to say she might have been close to 6 pounds. So she wasn't super small. Like she's probably the biggest baby in the NICU, if I'm being honest. Like there's
Okay.
some tiny ones in there. She was not small. But nobody really knew what was going on. Like her spleen was enlarged. She wasn't breathing on her own. Like I said, she had a lot of things going on, but they couldn't figure out, what the actual problem was. But throughout the next couple of days, while I was still in the hospital, trying to get better from all the sickness that I had, but we were able to, go down to the NICU and see her and stuff like that. We weren't able to hold her. Um, and she stayed there for 53 days, I think. Um, so we were there, every day for a couple months. During this time, Carly's super excited that she's a big sister. She doesn't understand why she can't see her sister because she's, 5 years old. So it was really tough. Like, it was tough as far as one of your kids are sick and
Yeah.
struggling, and you don't,
Emotional nightmare.
for sure, and you
Yeah.
don't know why. Like, that was my biggest thing at the time, was like, what is wrong?
Right.
Because until you,
Knowing is the scary
yeah, I was
part.
about to say, because until you know what's wrong, you don't know how to fix it.
That's right.
Not that I could do either one, but I knew, like, even the care team there, like, if you don't know what's wrong, you don't know how to fix it.
That's right.
But I will say, they were amazing. As far as, I would never want anyone to experience the NICU, but the people there are unbelievable, even down to different programs that they offer. Like, on Mondays, they would have a Monday with Mom class, to where the moms who have been in there 24/7, like, they can just come into this room and they do arts and crafts, or they paint, or
That's cool.
it was really neat.
Yeah.
Like, the different things that they offered, just to help people. And that's all it was they were just trying to help somebody in their worst time. And they had this program called the Beads of Courage. And, like, every day, there's like a little card kind of by their bed, and they have all these different beads, and, like, a black bead is pokes. So every time she got poked for something, she would get a black bead. They had little ones that had, like, little bumps all over them, and they were called bumpy beads. So for if she had a rough day, she would get a bumpy bead. So I loved that. As far as when I wasn't there, like, when I was home with Carly and I would come back up to the hospital, I could look at that card that day and know the different things that she had been through. And then they could, like, the nurses would talk to you about it and stuff like that. And I just,
There's some really cool systems.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. I loved the beads. I want to say it had to been early part of June.
What year?
This was 2008. No, 17.
17. Okay.
No, it wasn't. It was 2018. That's
18,
correct.
yeah.
And it was not June.
Okay. Hey, it's all good.
It probably was. It really was.
Theoretically,
Yes.
June 2018.
It was, because it was.
The assumption that this might have been what possibly took.
It was definitely June, because it was not Carly's birthday yet. I came up to the hospital one day. Now, let me back up and say, it was kind of a roller coaster in the aspect of Alyssa started getting better with some of the medicines they were giving her. We still didn't know what was wrong.
And this is still during the 2 months.
Yes.
Okay.
So they were giving her different medicines, antibiotics, all these different things, and she was improving. Like, I got to hold her. One day they called when I was on the way to the hospital, and they were like, "Hey, we were going to give her a bath. We just wanted to see if, you wanted to." And I was like, "I'm on the way. Like, this is great. If y'all can't wait for me, I understand." And this lady was like, "No, we'll totally wait." So when I got there, we got to give her a bath, like, literally put her in, like, a little baby bath, and they put the oxygen tube down in the water to make bubbles, and, like, called it her spa day. It was really sweet. So there were times that she was better, and at one point they were talking about her coming home, because the doctor was like, "If she's just eating and gaining weight, she can do that at home." And I was like, wait a minute, dude, we don't even know what's wrong. That makes me nervous. But at the same time, I did see her getting better and improving. So I was kind of like, this might be it. Well, then she started declining. I got a call at like 3 o'clock in the morning one morning, whatever, said she had to be put back on the ventilator. And that as soon as they could get her off of the vent enough, that a jet from Birmingham would come get her. So that was terrifying, because I'd always heard the USA Children's and Women's, like, the NICU is it. Like, this is where you want to be. And so when I went up there, that's kind of what I told them. I was like, I thought y'all were like it. this is probably one reason I'm excited to be in Mobile. If I'm gonna have a kid in the NICU, this is it. And they were like, we're gonna send her to Birmingham, and they'll kind of check out
To
her.
UAB?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's really Children's of Alabama, but it's connected to UAB.
Okay. Okay.
But they were like, they specialize in heart and stuff like that, and that's where she needs to be. And I was like, okay. At this time, we still have no answers of what's going on. I feel like they probably had some ideas for them to know, that they needed to send her somewhere else. So that day, I'm at the hospital, and I can't remember what time it was in the afternoon or evening, but they were like, we're gonna see if we can get her off the vent, and if we can, we're gonna get them to come get her. So I mean, I was standing outside of the pod when respiratory comes in, and they got her off, um just onto a different kind to where she could be transported. So, in that moment, they were like, this is it. Like, she's going. You need to go home and get a bag. And that's that. And I remember standing there, well, like in that room where the Monday's moms was, and you could go meet with all the moms. I remember a girl, I'm sure I looked lost. I can imagine, because I felt like I looked like that every day during that time. But she asked me, she was like, "Can I pray for you?" And at this time, I still wasn't going to church, but I believed, I believed in God. I'd been asking God, but I wasn't active in church. And she said, "Can I pray for you?" And I was like, "Absolutely. I'll take all I can get." And she stopped right there in the middle of that classroom full of women and held my hands and prayed for me. And I was just crying, crying, crying. And then so that was a super like powerful moment for me. Um just because I'd never really had anybody do that in any aspect of my life. Like, nobody really grabbed me and was like, "We're doing this right now." It was just always like, "Oh, we'll pray for you."
Mm.
But it was never like, "Right now, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and pray for you." So, I appreciated that. It was different in that moment to me. Um, so I call Carlos, tell him what's going on. Um, I go home, get some clothes together. He has a garbage bag with some clothes in it. And I'm like, I hoard bags. If you look
Yeah.
in our closet, there's like 72 bags. And I come home and he's got his in a garbage bag. And he's like,
That's all you need.
yeah, he's like, "I'm ready." And I
That's
was
it.
like, okay.
Walmart sells our luggage.
Right.
Yeah.
But so we go back up to the hospital, and the it's night at this point, but the nurses, so they change at like 7 p.m. Obviously, they're like 7 to 7 or whatever.
You're in Birmingham.
No, I'm still at USA. We go back up to the hospital. Like, we went home, got our clothes, and went back to USA. Um, and the nurses who were there during the day, there was one or two of them. When I got there, they were still there. So they were waiting to like see her off. They just asked their manager if they could stay over. So when I got there and they were still there, that was another moment for me. Like, somebody that didn't have to, it wasn't just a job. And that's what I mean by, like, there's definitely people that God puts in those places for a reason. And we were all hugging and crying and just the unknown. But at that time I was like, maybe this is what we need, as far as we'll get the answers we need and we'll be back. Like, that was what we were all talking about. But I can tell you, the moment that a flight team comes in fully suited up with a gurney that has an enclosed deal to get your super small baby, it's almost like out of a movie. Like, it rocked my world. There's not really anything like that. And I remember when we were leaving, like, we had to watch them take her out, and I wanted to go, and they told me, "No, like, you just drive. It's gonna take us a little while to get her there and get her set up. So by the time you get there, she'll just be getting situated." And I was like, like, the mom in me, it doesn't wanna hear that, I'm like, I won't even take my purse, y'all. I'll just take my wallet. Like, I won't take up any room except just a little seat. And they were like, you just drive. And I was like, okay. So at this time, my mom is up there with us, and Carly and Carlos. So me and my mom get in the car and she drives me to Birmingham, and Carlos stays home with Carly, because that's the whole new thing. Is like, you feel like you have to choose your kid. Like, which kid are you going to choose? Mind you, he's still trying to work and provide as much as he can during this nightmare. But so we get up there, and probably the fastest record time to Birmingham ever. And I don't really know how the flight went. They did call me when they got there, because they told me they would. And she made it, as far as the flight, and they said she did okay. And we got up there and just kind of overwhelmed with, information. At this point, it's the middle of the night. I
And you
slept.
were at the hospital up there in the
Yeah.
middle of the night.
Yeah. Like, that's when we got there. It was probably like 1 o'clock in the morning or something crazy.
And they're briefing y'all.
A little bit. I mean, they are, as far as just kind of introducing themselves, what's going on, where we are, kind of deal. There's nowhere for us to go in the middle of the night. There's a hotel, but it was, I guess, booked up or something. And I slept on an ottoman for, the amount of time I slept or whatever, so I could be there whenever they got there the next morning. And they kind of just got her situated, got her on medications and stuff. And we were there for, about a month, I guess. And during that time, like I say, you're constantly feeling torn. I mean, I was there with her and stayed there, but at the same time, I'm like, I've left my other kid. Absolutely, but it just wasn't really coming to mind so much.
Yeah, it's just so far on the back burner
Yeah.
compared to the situation.
But I ended up getting into the Ronald McDonald House up there. Also something I never really knew about until I needed it. Amazing place, program.
They helped y'all.
Yeah, for sure. The things they do and offer is just unbelievable. They have people that come and volunteer to cook meals like every night for the people who live there.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so
The church went over there, I think, and we cleaned or something.
that is cool. Since I've been back,
Cooked
over
breakfast.
the years, I cooked for the one here.
Did you?
It was different than the one up there, as far as like up there was a dinner time and people were like lined up waiting to eat, and you would fix it, serve them, do whatever you could. Here, you just kind of cook it and they come and go. But I guess because there's so much different times that people are at the hospital.
I
You're
know you
good.
was talking about all the pressure on you. I was like, that might have also been on you. And I'm like, good grief, that's a lot.
And it was, like I say, once I got into the Ronald McDonald House, I tried to kind of get like a new routine or whatever, as far as making sure bills are getting paid. Like when I get over to the room at night, like figuring out what day it is and making sure stuff like that's happening. But at the same time, probably wasn't like freaking out about where are we going to come up with this money, because, like I say, my parents, I knew that if we needed anything, they would help us.
Well, that's pretty sure.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, I'm sure they couldn't like save my house or anything, but before I ever got into that situation, I knew that,
But they helped you take some of that burden off of you.
yeah, and I had friends that like gave us gas cards and, just different stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, definitely amazing friends and family that were there for us. Lots of prayers, people were constantly reaching out praying. And my mom would bring Carly up there on the weekends, or I went home a couple times. So while she was in Birmingham, Carly's birthday happened. So that's how I know it was June.
Okay.
So she already had like a little birthday party planned over at my grandparents' house. And they had decided that Alyssa needed a heart cath, and she was going to go to the cath lab, at whatever time. It wasn't right around her birthday, but she wasn't doing great enough for me to commit to like the whole drive home, a whole day I wasn't going to stay gone that long. Anytime I came home, I did what I had to do and got right back on the road.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a turn and burn. that day, and that was probably only twice. But I did come home and surprise her for her birthday, which was really nice.
Was she super excited?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was over the moon because I had already told her, like, "We're not gonna make it." I told all my family, "We're not gonna make it." Like, that's just that. And then the nurses were like, "You need to go. Like, it's gonna be okay." And had it not been for probably 2 of them, I probably wouldn't have left. But one of them was like, "You can call me every hour on the hour, and I will update you. Like, it's gonna be okay. If I need you back here, I will call you." And I was like, "It's 4 hours. Like, there's no quick, 'Hey, get up here.'"
Mhm.
But those 2 nurses and Carlos kinda really convinced me, like, "It's gonna be okay. Just trust and go." And I did. I probably cried the whole way home just for leaving. And, but we made it. Like I say, we got to be there with her for her birthday. She was over the moon, and we turned around and went back, and she was finally doing good. She had to be off a certain amount of medications and stuff to go to the cath lab, and she'd finally gotten to where she needed to be, and they had her scheduled to go to the cath lab on, I think, July 5th, maybe? I don't think it was on the 4th. But, at this time, Carlos is in Mobile. He's working, so he can come back in a day or 2 for the procedure and stuff. And, I was sitting in the room, and, I would read books to her and stuff. And just knowing what I knew from school and common sense, the machine kinda started beeping, and I just stood up, and her heart rate was going down. And they all kinda came in there, and I was like, "What's going on?" And they were like, "You you know what's going on." And, they were like, "We want you to be able to hold her." And I knew if I picked her up, she was gonna die, but Carlos wasn't there. So, I kinda told him, I was like, "I want Carlos to be here." And they were like, "How far out is he?" Because I had called him that day and told him she wasn't doing good, like, she was going back up on her medicines and stuff. So he was already on the way, and I called him and, asked him how far away he was, and I can't remember what he said. And I told him, that it was dropping and they wanted me to hold her, and I don't remember getting off the phone. Um, but whenever we got off the phone, I told him however far away he was, and they were like, "That's too far. Like, it's too long." And I was like, "I need you to make sure that she's okay until he gets here." And, I think he had, called back at one point, or maybe I called him back because they said for him to just kind of pull into the front of the hospital and just come up, and, like, they had already talked to the bottom to where he don't have to stop and check in at all, like, you just crash the car and go. And I just kinda told them, I was like, "When he gets here, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, you know, with him." Like, I've kinda had a minute to, I mean, obviously, I'm just sitting there about to throw up, and, but I didn't know what to expect with him. But, he did make it, and, he wasn't really, like, I guess, believing that there was nothing else that could be done. And, so they did, like, another blood gas on her, which is kinda like checking all the levels in her blood and stuff, and everything came back 0, like, showing that there was nothing there except for the medicine they were giving her to keep her alive. So at that time, they placed her in our arms, and, I guess they, like, stopped giving medication and kinda stopped the machines. And at that point, if she would make it on her own, she would make it. But, I mean, they knew. But at that moment, I remember just feeling like, just saying, "God, no," over and over. And it wasn't long at all. This was July 2nd at, like, a little after midnight. So she actually passed on July 3rd of 2018 in our arms. But I would say to not be suffering anymore was, probably the only, positive thing we could see from that, now that we've seen it at the time. Um, we were still they told us, we could take as much time as we wanted. Um, so we stayed in the room with her for a little bit and held her. And somebody called my phone, and, I answered it because nobody calls me at that time, and it was a number I didn't know. And it was somebody who called about, getting fluid from her heart, I guess for testing
Mm.
or to help, I don't know. But it was that moment that I lost it, like, pretty sure I cussed these people out. I don't know what all I said to them. Felt terrible afterwards. Um, and like I say, looking back now, if I could do it again, I probably would. Because if it would save somebody else's kid or help figure out something for someone else's child. But in that moment, I was so angry and hurt and broken that I didn't care. I didn't want anybody asking me for anything.
Right.
Like, how dare you call me right now? Was kind of my mentality. But so we were there for a few hours, and then we went over to the Ronald McDonald House, and we called a couple family members. We didn't want to call everybody in the middle of the night, but we called like my mom and my dad and my grandparents and his mom. And we tried to lay down for a little while. I don't know if we went to sleep or not. But the next morning we came over to the hospital and got like a box of stuff that they had for us, and kind of just told everybody thank you for everything they had done. We had 2 vehicles up there, so we both got in a vehicle and drove home, and we just kinda talked to each other on the phone and stopped and stuff on the way home. And, once we got home, I think he was more worried about me going, like, home to where the nursery wasn't really set up because things got so derailed, but just going home to where all her stuff was without her. And then the fear of, like, once we pick Carly up from daycare, what do we say to her? Because, she's just now 6. So, what do they really understand about that or grasp? And what's the right way to tell? I don't know how to tell in that best age appropriate kind of deal. And when you're heartbroken and you can't even talk, it's hard to,
Process.
yeah,
Yeah, anything.
and explain it to a child for them
Yeah.
to process. Like,
Yeah.
it was the worst day of my life, um, hands down. But he went and got her, and we just kinda told her, like, that she was sick and she couldn't be better, so she went to heaven. And then watching her heart break and crying was horrible. But we had each other, when we got through, the next week or 2 of nightmares. And then we just tried to start learning our new normal, I guess. Um, that was also a huge hard part for me. It's like, how do you have a new normal? Like, just going forward was really hard. But we had a lot of really good friends and family that were there with us. We just kind of poured into her a lot, poured into Carly. Probably overcompensated like crazy for her. So she probably thought it was Christmas all the time because they're just like, whatever you want.
Right.
Life's not promised. Whatever you want, we're doing it. But somehow, and I say somehow, it's really not somehow, by the grace of God, we survived that. And during that time, I remember everybody kept saying, this is going to make or break your marriage. And I heard it so many times over days, and I was like scared to death. Like, we'd only been married, 5 years at the time. And so I think we both just kind of started like white knuckling everything, like almost like eggshells. Like, you don't know how this person's feeling, you don't know how this person's feeling, and everybody's
Exactly.
like,
So that caused more anxiety.
for sure, because it's just like,
Well, it's just a lesson. I mean, I know people mean well, but don't speak stuff like that over somebody that's going through something like that.
absolutely. I never knew how many crazy, like, cliche sayings that we do say,
That's
but
not good.
I was about to say, but there are so many. But yeah, not good at all. And I do get that probably statistically it does, but I've kind of researched it some since then, and it's not as crazy amount high. Get
Because the patterns say one thing does not mean that that's what's going to happen.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I get that, like, so we went through grief recovery together, just me and him. And
Who did that for you?
so through USA, they set us up
Okay.
at SADS Healthcare.
So they go above and beyond.
For sure. They really did. And like I say, I mean, she didn't even pass there, but I had called some of the nurses because they were checking up on her. Like I say, they really became like a family. There's several that I still talk to this day.
Any Christian support during this, or just family praying and people as much as they can?
Yeah, about to say a lot of people were praying for us and telling us they were praying for us. There was a pastor that came to the hospital in Birmingham. My friend here, um, I guess talked to her pastor, and I guess somebody he knew up there. He came over and saw us, and he brought me like a rock that had a engraving scripture on it, and I just held on to that. I held on to it through her funeral. So I mean, it was really nice that he came.
What was the scripture?
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Yeah.
I had two. There was a cross in the gift shop downstairs, and I'll have to bring it Thursday. But the middle of it's almost like it's etched out to where it's perfect for your finger.
Oh,
So I had a cross that I held in one hand and the rock in the other one. And but he was really nice. It was nice that he came by and he prayed with us. And I'm not sure if it was him or somebody at the hospital asked if we wanted to have her baptized. And I kind of thought about it for a moment, just growing up Catholic, like you did that. But at the same time, at that point in my life, I was like, she hasn't sinned.
yeah.
Like,
She's going to she's going to have no matter what. Yeah.
well, we said no just at the time because of her situation, and I didn't know what all it entailed. Well, afterwards, I had a ton of guilt and shame for saying no. And not that I ever felt like she didn't go to heaven, but just like what kind of mom would say no to that?
Yeah.
Like when it's nothing but a blessing. And so I had a hard time with that, but at the same time I told myself like she lived a sinless life, like it's okay. But telling myself,
Well, Jesus actually said that unless you're like one of them, you won't get in. So, like, he literally is giving a lesson to us by using them as an example.
right,
So that says to me they're in.
for sure. Yeah.
And
I guess it was my head and my heart weren't on the same page.
well, and I'm sure the enemy was attacking as well.
Yeah,
People
definitely.
forget about that part of it, but yes, there's natural pain, and yes, you're going through an insane amount, but the enemy tries to whisper during trauma, during your worst times, because you have two choices from that point. It's either hold on to Jesus with everything you got, or turn to the bottle, or turn to drugs, usually.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that's where we got. I mean, we made it through the first little bit. Like I said, we did try to do some grief recovery, just from the aspect of trying to do what was best for the child we still have. I I hate to say I was mad at God, but I probably was, if I'm being honest. I was mad at a lot of people, really, because every time I would hear somebody saying they prayed for something and their prayers got answered, or they would always say, "Oh, look at this miracle that God did." And I'm like, so were my prayers not good enough? Or was I not a good enough Christian? Then I started kind of blaming myself and carrying a lot of guilt. And I guess that somehow being a parent too, like you have to feel like, what did you do or what could you have done? And it's like, I don't know, that just really bothered me for a long time as far as people saying their prayers were answered or God gave them this miracle. And I was like, what about the ones that don't? Like, I had a hard time trying to digest why prayers don't get answered. And then one time somebody told me, maybe that was your prayers being answered. And I was like, no, that's not what I was praying for. So
be hard to digest unless you're in the right place.
right. Yeah. And I was
Yeah,
not ready
yeah,
to hear that. And I
yeah,
was like,
no.
okay. There again, like
Yeah.
I guess when you're so raw, people don't realize that sometimes just the words, it's like, wow, did you just say that?
Yeah.
All right, this is what we're doing.
Recommend, yeah. Well, we all put our foot in our mouth.
For sure. And like I say, I know people mean well and they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But,
That's the reason the Holy Spirit's so important to lead in intense situations like that. Because, I mean, even during this interview, I'm sitting here praying in my head because I know God can hear it regardless of what I'm saying. I'm like, Lord, help me to get through this. Help me to help her get through. I mean, I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth. Um, the only thing I could say is I've thought about this scenario. Uh, I had um, a child aborted when I was younger, and I mean, it tore me up. Calling my that's the only way I could like even really relate, and that still isn't having a visual or anything like you went through. But I know that even that, without even ever seeing it, tore me up,
yeah,
and so I can't imagine actually seeing it. And the only thing that I think could bring me any comfort is knowing that it's with Jesus. I mean, I know. Have you ever seen the movie Heaven is for Real?
no,
Okay. Well, I'd suggest watching that movie.
okay,
The kid dies and comes back.
wow,
And while he's dead, he talks about Jesus smiling at him and talking to him just like a nice doctor would. Like, are you okay, buddy? And grabbing him by the hand and all that. And very, like, I suggest you watch that.
yeah, I will have to do that.
Because that's the kind of stuff that, like, after I went through what I went through and just life in general, I watched a lot of near death experiences and listened for the commonality. And
I will definitely have to watch that one. Um, like I say, I would say probably at the time, really the only thing that got us through was Carly. I don't know that he would say the same thing. I mean, he definitely got me through, but without Carly, I don't know that it would have been enough, if I'm being honest, because I would have just probably worried about my own self destruction and not really cared what it did to anybody else.
well, that's awesome that he supported you like that.
For sure. And like I said,
So great granny was wrong.
that's right. She sure was. She sure was. I knew she was wrong the day she was wrong, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Um, so we're just rocking along. Like I say, figuring out our new normal, trying to navigate life, rock on with our girl. And it was probably, I don't know, it wasn't super long after. Like I say, of course, I'm self-medicating to try to be happy for the kid that I have that's here so she don't see a mom that's completely falling apart every day. Um, I was prescribed Xanax probably, well, it was when Alyssa was alive, like trying to help me like not lose my mind. But at the same time, I didn't really want to take them because I wanted to be fully present, know what I was being told, what I was consenting to. So I didn't ever really take them. I think I took one night at the Ronald McDonald House because honestly, I had no idea how long I had been awake just to try to help me sleep. But then I was scared to death to oversleep, so it was just so many things. But I had a prescription and I was like, well, maybe that'll help me now, not be a basket case for my kid that I still have. So I would say that probably started with some of the, like I say, just self medicating that anything I could numb the pain, but still be present here in life. And I mean, I got really good at that. I'm not gonna lie. I got really good at figuring out how to hide things I was going through or like I say, just numb the pain enough to where it looks like life is still a joy. Because at that time I did not feel that way at all. Um, and then it was not long after that my dad's health started declining. Um, But back to the super country, hard-headed man, he didn't wanna do anything about it, like, the body kinda heals itself, whatever. Don't go to the doctor, we're just gonna stick our head in the sand, and, so his health declined pretty.
How long was it after? Or is it, we talking about like within 3 years? Or
No, no, not 3 years, probably within maybe 1 year.
oh goodness.
Yeah, so I could kinda see him. It might have been 2, but it was not a lot as far as, like, him declining, as far as woke up one night and kinda just threw up blood everywhere to where it kinda looked like a murder scene deal, and, to me, I was like, "That's the drinking," that's his liver, but at the same time, he didn't wanna go anywhere, Well, then over time, he got to where he couldn't really walk good. He was almost like limping. Then he was on a cane. Then he couldn't walk. So finally, he starts going to the doctor, and
I don't like them. I mean,
I don't either, but
well, I
golly.
mean, I like them as people. I don't like going for my own reasons. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going to them. I associate if I'm here, it's not good.
Right. And I agree with that. And I certainly don't want to take don't get me wrong, I do not want to take medication.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm kind of like, hey,
I was just saying, I get
these
you
people are here for a reason. This stuff is. I'm just like, how long are we going to ride this out? Well, he wrote it out. I mean, I'm telling you, hard headed. So kind of by the time he was going to the doctor to kind of get help, he was pretty much paralyzed. And they said he had spinal stenosis. And really all he went for was just enough care to kind of get him through. He ended up having surgery on his spine, and like he left the hospital either the next morning or something crazy, like not supposed to be leaving the hospital. But they let him go. And he did all right for a little while. It was just hard to see him like that because that's your dad. Like
Yeah.
that's like the man in a little girl's life. And I want to say it was probably the first time that like he couldn't cut grass, like that one of us had to cut his grass for him. Like that just broke him down. And I was like, it's just cutting the grass. But I had no idea,
It symbolized more.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, to him, I mean, he was very appreciative. My parents were always appreciative of anything me and my brother would do. But at the same time, like it kind of breaks you down that you can't do that and you've never had anybody do anything like that for you. So I get that now. But he ended up losing his job. He was still going to work like this because that's just what he did. But he did end up losing his job. And after that, I kind of knew that he didn't really have a lot of purpose left. And I hate to say that way, but we had already like guilted him with the grandkids and all that stuff. And if that wasn't enough, like by the time he lost his job, he didn't really have anything else. And I don't even think it was probably a month. He ended up getting sick, like COVID or something like that. There again, he wouldn't go to the doctor, so we don't know. But he was just down and in the bed and not feeling good. He was, hallucinating, just from being dehydrated and stuff. And I remember him asking me for a beer, and I was like, "That's probably not what we need right now. Like, come on."
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was looking at him somewhat suffering, I would say. Um, they say you're not suffering with like pneumonia and stuff. I'm like, that's not a quality of life to me. That's suffering.
Right.
I ended up giving him some beer, and you would have thought I gave him $1,000,000. And he wasn't even fully mentally there at that time. But I think it was either that night. I think it was probably that night. My mom called at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and she was like, I think it's happening if you want to, come on over or whatever. And so me and my brother, doing our NASCAR moves to see how fast we can get to 8 Mile. He lives near the Mississippi line, so he's about 15 minutes further west than me, but we're hauling. And so once we get there, my dad's already passed, and she had called the police, whoever needed to come out. But that was hard. Um just in a different way. Like,
Are you still doing the Xanax and stuff to numb during all this?
yeah, I mean, I mean, probably not every day or anything, but definitely
Every time it felt necessary.
yeah, but say definitely not far from wherever I needed it to be.
Yeah.
And it could have been anything. Like it wasn't always Xanax. It could have been drinking. Like I'm gonna rotate, different things to whatever will get me through. So my dad passed, and we kind of start dealing with all the things again. Like, I hadn't even recovered from the last time. And I don't know, it's just something about the whole process, which planning a funeral is, horrible no matter what. But the amount of like love and outpouring that you typically get from people. Like, that seems to be what gets you through. It's what got me through
Yeah.
for both times, parent and child. But, because my dad never really went to church, I was kinda like, didn't really want a pastor that didn't even know him, like, getting up there speaking. So I told my mom that I was gonna speak, like, I would give a eulogy or whatever, if that was alright with her, and she said, "Yeah," like, she thought that he would like that. So, at the time that I said it, I wasn't fully thinking, like, "Can you actually do that?" You're just thinking like, "Hey, your dad would probably like this," instead of some
I do
stranger.
that.
Right.
Just spout
Oh,
out
yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
notorious for being like, "Hey, yeah, I'll help you do that," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wait a minute, what does this entail?"
That's what I do with this podcast.
Right, there we go. But I just knew that, that would be more meaningful to him than a stranger. So, I ended up, writing some stuff, and, the day of his funeral, I got up and spoke, and, that was probably another one of the hardest things. But at some point, I kind of felt peace, like, in that moment for what I was doing. I knew he wasn't suffering. I knew he did what he wanted to do, and that was how that was gonna be. And, I knew we were doing, like, what he would want in that moment. Like, my brother picked the flowers for the casket, and, I mean, it was Alabama Crimson Tide as much as you could get.
Yeah.
Well, War Eagle, but, that was just because me and him we had to fight it out during
Yeah,
football season.
absolutely. How did that happen?
That was literally how it started, because he was a diehard Alabama fan. I was gonna go for Auburn just to get it fired up.
Stay contrary.
Oh, yeah, just to get it fired up in the house. We gotta keep it
Lord,
spicy.
I-
Oh, they're gonna find a way just to drive you
Yeah.
nuts. It's like, what can we do to get dad?
So I'm gonna be fasting and praying a lot.
Yes. With girls, you better.
And believe me, I know I'm in for it. God gave them to me for a reason.
But there was something about, I don't know, I guess sitting front row. There I was again, sitting front row at a funeral, which was heavy. And again, I haven't made it to church, haven't done anything really right, but I didn't feel like I'd done a whole bunch of wrong. So at the same time, I'm kind of like, is it not something I did, but almost like,
Does
am
God
I
hate me?
yeah, or am I deserving of this? Like,
Yeah.
why do I keep losing people? So yeah, there was a lot of guilt, questioning, self-doubt, whatever we want to call it. But it was a lot of that going on for sure.
Understandably.
Yeah, I mean, I say yeah, but now that I am where I am, and like I look at other people that go through situations like that,
Sometimes I believe, this is just my belief, that God's always working good from bad things. I've seen it too many times. And sometimes I believe he allows bad things to happen because there was no other way to get your attention.
I agree with that now. It's still hard to hear it sometimes, almost, when I get on the human level of being like, that was my kid
I know.
or that was my dad. But I am a firm believer now that sometimes things happen just so God will be like, sit down, whatever it is, like, be still.
And some people will peel the onion just tiny bit on that, because some people just leave it there, and then people are like, well, God lets bad things happen. It's like, no, Satan is the ruler of this earth according to the Bible. People forget that. That's why it sucks.
Yeah.
Like God takes the
Hell on earth.
Yeah, God, absolutely.
I'm about saying that saying is that for a reason.
Absolutely, it is. And people think that Christians just are this. We think that when you get saved, it's just this come by. No, what it is it gives you a purpose and a promise that there's something better after this. But here, to me, it still is like, yeah, no, I don't want to be here. You can feel that it's cursed. You can feel there's something wrong. People hurt a lot. People go through stuff like what you went through. I couldn't accept it. But God was kind enough to teach me why things are the way they are through his word. And you can just read it. We turned over the authority that was given to us to Satan. And look at what he's doing with it. Just bad things happen here. And God is constantly taking what that a-hole is doing, and he's using it for good, always.
Right.
And he did that. He let things happen to me. He let things happen to you. But here you sit, saved and and you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
got
for sure.
through it, and look at your testimony. I mean, this is a powerful testimony that you can't really reach much more pain than what you're describing. Especially when it comes to children, that's the ultimate.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say losing a parent was hard, but man, losing my kid,
Yeah,
like it's just I don't know, it's something that you can't describe. I mean, both are hard, don't get me wrong, and, like, when you lose a parent, you feel kinda lost, like, you've had them your whole
yeah,
life, like, it's hard to
your
describe
fallback.
that, but your kid,
Yeah,
that's the one person you're supposed to be able to, like, go to the ends of the earth for. So it was,
I can't imagine. You heard that moment I had in the living room where I just freaked out because I thought the rapture taking place. I've told that I think a couple of times on here.
right,
So never forget that what God told me in that moment. He had to speak to my heart because I was crying like she was gone. And he said, "Do you think I love you?" And I answered, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, don't you think I love her?" And it was a kind voice, It was
right,
a loving voice. And it said, "If she's with me, why are you crying?" And I mean, it spoke to my heart so hard to where I stopped.
yeah,
Like, why would I? And that was a perspective I never thought about until that moment of, well, crap, if she's with Jesus, like, why am I upset? Because you did it, baby. Like, you did it.
right, you made it.
You made it.
Now I
Like,
gotta do everything
yeah,
I can to get to
yeah,
you.
absolutely. Now you pray for daddy because I haven't made it yet.
Right,
But yeah, so that was a powerful moment there in the living room, but it holds true for you and
for sure, yeah,
anybody
absolutely.
else that's been through it to picture I mean, you can't imagine how good Jesus is. I mean, you just can't. We can't fathom it.
No,
And
not
to
at all.
know that your kid's with him,
It's crazy. It's crazy if you, like, really just sit back and think about it,
yeah,
and, like, Carlos has had I hate to he wouldn't care. So he's had dreams where he'll see Alyssa in his dreams, and he's told me a couple times, it hadn't been a bunch, but, he's like, "Oh, I seen her, in my dream," and I'll get mad, and I hate to say it that way, but I had not,
oh yeah,
and I was like, "Well, that why are you seeing her and I'm not?" So there again, I've prayed to be like, "Let me see her in my dreams or something," and I still haven't to this day. But I don't get angry about it now the way I was. And I mean, I'm so glad that he has, but at the same time, I was like, I was just longing for anything I could get.
yeah,
Um, because, in some of my darkest times, I was like, if I made it to heaven, how would I even know it's her,
yeah. I know where that sounds like that was from.
Well, for sure, because
That's not a normal
yeah, I
thought
was
to
like,
be having.
God's
Yeah,
not whispering that to
yeah.
me. He's not like,
No,
"Hey, Ashley,
yeah.
you think you'll know her?"
That sounds deeper than what we would naturally think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So that's when you kind of know it might be coming from somewhere else. But yeah, no, because I know exactly what you're talking about. You can start just as much as we can sit here and admire and love the Lord and worship the Lord. You can spiral the other way if you listen to the wrong things, wrong voices.
For sure. Or just listen to my own sometimes instead of
That's
focusing
might
on
be the worst. No, I'm just kidding.
it probably is. And then that time I can assure you it was because everybody else was uplifting and I was not. But
Yeah.
it you can definitely get in your own way and take it all the way. Um
So with that being said, what led you to South Coast Recovery?
so we started looking for a church. Probably like 2021, we were going to a Baptist church off Schillinger's, and we liked it. We weren't super plugged in, we weren't members, but we'd went several times and we liked it. Um, and that pastor was retiring or something, and we didn't feel like we fit really. But a friend of mine told me about South Coast Church, and because we're in West Mobile and my kids in school and stuff, it seemed like so many people we knew were going there.
Yeah.
We went, it was September of 2022. So it was probably like 7 months after my dad died. I was trying to turn things around. Carlos had to work that Sunday and me and Carly went to church there. I was like, we're gonna go check out this church. And she was, excited. We went, it was still off Cody Road at the time. And we really liked it. Like I think Pastor Tracy got up and spoke that day. I don't know if she did the whole sermon, but a lot of the stuff she said was kind of hitting for me in that moment. And so next Sunday we went back. And then Carlos was off that Sunday. I told him, I was like, I really want you to come, check out this church, see what you think, and we'll see if maybe it's where we belong. And we went the next Sunday, all three of us, and he really liked it too. I think PJ was preaching on something. He was like, I like him. I was like, yeah, he's a character.
Yeah, I like him too.
I do too. He's really good. And like I say, just such a personal level.
Yeah.
Like, even to be standing up there preaching, for it to feel like different for everyone, like
The
you
heart's
can,
right.
yeah, but so you can just relate to him, and yeah, his heart, they're just really good. But so we've been going ever since. Like we didn't stop, and then we heard that they were moving, and I was like, oh man, like we just found a place that we like. And
Yeah, it was right by my house when I started. Like literally, we lived in Creekwood.
oh, okay, on the Cody
Yeah.
Road was. So they were like, we're building a new building. I'm like, man, where is it? I finally got the address. They're right around the corner from my house now, like not even a minute. So I was like, yes, they're not going far. Like they're right here. We can keep going to church. We went to the first Wednesday that they did at the new building, where we all got to go in, and it was just dirt and the beams. And we all got to write our scriptures on the beams. And we just loved that. Like that was amazing to us. Carly wrote her favorite. I wrote one for Alyssa. I wrote one for my dad. And then me and Carlos wrote one all to the left side of the auditorium. It was just really cool. Then we continued, going to church there. Weren't really plugged in. At that point, I was still kind of trying to like save my own life. As crazy as that sounds, like that's what
a lot of people are doing.
I was about to say, that was my mentality in the moment. And every time I kind of heard Pastor John talking about tithing or go teams or small groups, like I even told my friend one time, I was like, I can't really do all that right now because I'm trying to I'm not ready. I'm trying to save myself, and not in the selfish way, but I was like, what do I have to offer to somebody else in a small group or on a go team when I'm falling apart?
Well, there's no way to see the perspective you have now then.
Right.
Right.
So, and that's the hardest part, because like even now seeing friends in the group lose a child and the place that they're in losing the child, it was just still so different and hard to believe.
Yeah.
And I even told one of them, I was like, man, I would have given anything to have a heart like yours when my child died, because I just felt like my life would have been so different. But at the same time, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I went through what I went through to get to where I'm going. Yeah. But so I was still going to church. I wasn't fully like plugged in, maybe just checking the box. I mean, I loved going, and I felt like I got something each Sunday, but I wasn't.
You still want to do things your way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally relate.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, I want to have my cake and eat it too, Chris.
That's right, yeah.
But so June of 2024, me, Carlos, and Carly all got baptized at South Coast that June. And I gave myself a Bible, and in the front page, where it says to and from, and I wrote to Ashley, from your new heart, because he kept preaching on your new heart. And I was like, I had one when I was a child, but I don't even know that I did anything with it. But that was kind of my first time really having a Bible. And I was like, I'm going to go, go through it. So we kind of got more plugged in. Like Carly was loving youth. She goes all the time. And then I want to say Carlos probably got on a go team first. And
he's on a parking team, right?
Yeah, he's loving it. I told him, I was like, you work outside. Why would you want to be on the parking team? Why don't you do the ushers? He was like, no, this is it. I got it. And I was like, all right.
God makes everybody, because I don't want to be on the park.
Right? So my uncle said the same thing that Ghost started to do. He's like, I am not going to be out there in the cold or the heat. And I was like, well, you may one or the other if you're out there, or the rain. But
not everybody's Christian like trying to get out of there.
True. True that. It's a real possibility. There's no other on edge place than the car and traffic that you want to see me.
Nothing sadder than Pastor John preaching on slowing down and then seeing everyone in such a hurry to get out. You know, I mean,
That's true.
not everyone, but
No.
see the occasional.
No, you
I
do.
love South Coast, and I'm joking.
I do too. So he kind of got plugged in first. Like we had all done next steps together. Carly was on like the youth connect team. Well, it wasn't a connect team, but I guess it was last year. A lot of the older ones seemed to graduate last year, so they don't really have that anymore. But she's been doing the connect team with me. And like I say, I think I was probably doing that after. So one Sunday, Pastor John said he just felt the Holy Spirit telling him to see, who needed to be prayed for. And if you needed prayer, to raise your hand. And if somebody next to you had their hand raised, to go be with them and pray for them. Well, that Sunday I raised my hand. I didn't really know why, other than obviously I know I need whatever I can get. I'm struggling. And a lady named Susan walked over and she prayed with me and asked me my name and stuff. And I just told her a little bit. And I was just like, I'm just struggling. Like financially, I've lost a child, addiction. I don't know. And she prayed for me. And then after the service, she walked over to me and she told me about South Coast Recovery. She was like, I go to this group on Thursdays. You should come, whatever. And that was that. So I was like, I'm going to go, I'm going to go next Thursday. So I told her I would. And I went and that first night I was like, I'm not
I
going to.
still remember it.
I was like, I'm not going to talk.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go in here and see what this is about. And then Will was like, well, tell us a few things about you. And that was all it took. And then I'm just in there crying like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Life is lifing and I don't know what to tell y'all. And then I've been going ever since. Like I say, y'all, I mean, the group as a whole just keeps me going. I mean, to have so many people that, whether we're just talking, whether it's Levi's sermons in the mornings, whether it's just knowing that other people are going through things and that we're all there for each other, has helped me a ton.
It's a must.
Oh, for
I
sure.
mean, it's a must.
And I'm not going to say I didn't have the right people in my life. I have some great friends, but it's just totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different level. Like, when you have a church community, it's just different. Like I say, I would be lost without my people. Y'all are probably stuck with me now.
Yeah. No, and that is a special group. And I've seen so many people coming there with no hope in their eyes. And then you give it about 2 weeks and just the Holy Spirit, then it's the Holy Spirit doing it.
Oh, for sure.
Because I've never seen anything like it. To come in there and just confess. I mean, I've seen people that I know that they just don't tell a lot of people a lot of things. And when they come in that class, it just starts pouring out.
For sure.
And,
that's exactly what happened.
yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not going to talk at all. And then there
Yeah.
I was just.
And no one judges you. And
No.
yeah, because we're not supposed to, because people are getting led there for a reason. And but no, it's awesome. And I still remember the first time I went there. I mean, I felt like I'd been to hell and back.
For sure.
And just having people there listening and not making it about themselves.
Well, at that time, I had not even really said a lot of that stuff out loud. So
Yeah.
that, I think that was probably a lot of my, I'm not going to talk. Because then I'm saying these things out loud that I haven't even told my husband, as far as like, hey, I might be hiding some things to get through life here that you don't really know about. Or you might think that it's this bad and it's really this bad,
That's right.
And I just didn't want to.
I think everybody's got a little bit of that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wanted to keep all of my skeletons in the closet as much as I
Yeah.
could to try to make what I had left of life look good. And not look good for a show, but look good for like my kid to have not.
Dignity's sake.
Yeah, I was about to say, to not feel like
Yeah.
she's just drowning with me.
That's right. Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. A lot of people have skeletons, but he makes dry bones come to life. I mean,
There we are.
And there's some things that is just between you and the Lord, and it might be revealed in time. You might not be ready to reveal certain things right now. I know there's been people out there that were fearful, like, oh, when I come to the Lord, I've got to tell everybody everything I've ever done. And it's like, no, you've got to tell him everything you've ever done. He already knows anyway.
Right.
And then he will help you work with what you got. That's what he does.
For sure. And so many people kept saying too, like, you have to confess. You have to confess to, to be able to move forward. And I guess I was thinking to people and not so much.
Well, that's probably the Catholic upbringing that you was thinking that type of confess.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really want, there you go. There's some things I may want to take to the grave, but just so long as I'm repenting to God and asking for forgiveness. But at the same time, I would do that for a while and still not feel maybe almost like I'm not worthy.
Mhm.
I mean, I hate to say that, but that's probably what the deal was at the time. Like,
Well, we're not.
well, yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely not. But
Usually when that creeps up on you, it's either just the enemy creeping up on you, or either you're just thinking it yourself. But we're not. I mean, that's the truth. But
yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm not. It's just like I would be like, okay, I'm gonna give this to God and let it go, and then I pick it back up, and I'm like, no,
well, that's
no.
the devil's ammo. So I mean, that's probably where that's coming from. You remember the saying where it said, "When he reminds you of your past, remind him of your future."
Yeah,
Remind him of his future, your future too, heaven.
Right.
So for that to become a saying that was so prevalent when I was a kid, I didn't really understand it like I do now, to where I'm like, oh, okay, that's his whole game,
right,
is to make you think that you can't be forgiven.
for sure.
He can't. And that must suck for him, but we can. Jesus died for our sins, and we're covered for the blood when we do Romans 10:9. Pastor John's favorite verse then of the
That's
service.
Carlos's favorite too. I made him a shirt with it on it.
But confessing it with your mouth takes courage.
Oh, absolutely.
But believing it in your heart takes following. And that's what people don't think about sometimes. You can't just say, I believe he's my Lord and Savior, and then go act however you want to. I mean, be like me saying I'm in love with this girl, then going to go sleep with whoever I want to. It's just not, it's not real.
For sure. And I think the problem, I would say with me, but a lot of people in general, is we get caught up in feelings
Yes.
and not your heart and making the right choices. Like
Right.
you choose to do things and you just get, and I like I say I've definitely done that a ton. I try to do better now and try to recognize those things. Like I say, I'm a far cry from where I want to be, but I'm also better than what I used to be.
That's right.
So I try to focus on the positive end of that.
Well, and just know if you've given your life to Jesus, you're saved, and you have dominion over the enemy, that you give him the power yourself whenever you
Right.
start self-doubting and start letting them actually get in your head. But the battle's won, and that's a hard thing for me to remember sometimes.
Yeah.
Is the thing that sucks about someone that lets that stuff get in their head, and I'm talking to me here too, not just you, is when bad things start to happen, and you're listening to stuff like that in your head, you start getting in this place of, well, I deserve everything I'm getting, and so you just accept it,
Yeah, for sure.
and then that can lead to bad stuff sometimes. If you've given it to the Lord, and you've truly in your heart turned it around, and I'm following you no matter how this goes from here, he'll get you through it. No one else around you can help you sometimes. It got that bad for me. I'm sure it got that bad for you, to where I was like, it didn't matter what anybody was saying to me. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's either God gets me out of this, or I'm not going to get out of it.
For sure. Yeah. Like I say, the fact that I say came through the other side, made it through and still have my family intact and a job, and a functioning
Yeah.
life, so to speak, is nothing but God.
It's a miracle. Actually, it's been a very powerful testimony. I'm super proud of you.
Thanks. I was very nervous.
Well, it's been the Lord had to help me through it. I mean, that's a tough subject, and I know it's going to help a lot of people out there. Do you feel comfortable doing the traditional praying us out?
I'll give it a go.
I think you got it.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, I thank you for this time and the strength and courage you gave me to give this testimony. Lord, thank you for what you're doing with Chris to help so many others in the whole group. Lord, I pray that you touch my family and keep them safe. Lord, keep us plugged in and following you. Lord, keep my little girl with you until I see her again. And keep us safe and well. In your holy name I pray.
Amen. God bless you.
Amen. Thanks.
In the red clay of a country town, the Friday bells would chime. I was a little girl growing up on borrowed time, searching for a truck on a dark road in the night, walking through those heavy doors without my shoes in sight. My daddy was a worker, but the bottle held him fast, and I learned to hide the shadows of a childhood that wouldn't last. By 12 years old, the world began to shake, and I started down a path of every choice I shouldn't make. I built a life and a family of my own, but soon I faced a valley, feeling broken and alone. A little one came early, a fragile, tiny soul. We watched the beats of courage as the difficult days would roll. From the hospital room to the city far away, you left our arms and found your rest on a quiet summer bay. Let the little children come, I hear the Savior say, and I know He's holding you in a land of perfect day. He is loving you in heaven, where the living waters flow, keeping you in glory while I finish things below. In the only arms more tender than the ones you used to know. He's loving you, my reader one, and He'll never let you go. The mountains of my grief began to pile toward the sky as I watched the light fade from a weary father's eye. I wore a mask of Norman just to get through every day, while numbing all the feelings in a dark and secret way. I was angry at the miracles that other people claimed, while I sat inside the silence, feeling broken and ashamed. The demons started laughing, and I thought I'd let them win, until strangers' prayer broke through the wall I was living in. I found a place where dry bones can finally start to wake, and I realized there's a peace that the world can never take. I wrote her name upon a beam inside a sacred hall, and I learned that there's a Father who catch me when I fall. I'm baptized in the water with my family by my side, with a brand new heart within me and nothing left to hide. I'm no longer in the saddle, trying to save myself. I've got a promise in a Bible sitting right there on the shelf. Let the little children come, I hear the Savior say, and I know He's holding you in a land of perfect day.